It's time to call the July Elizabethton Board of Education meeting to order. We want to welcome everyone tonight on a different night from our normal night. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to our director, Mr. Van Hust, for a moment of silence and pledge to the flag.
Please stand. Please pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, it's now time to approve consent agenda and regular agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion and a second?
Second.
A second, okay. Anything on there anybody needs to move or questions? Okay. Seeing none, the items to approve consent agenda and regular agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And there are none. Time for citizens to speak. We didn't have anyone asked to speak tonight. And again, being the summer, we normally have a lot of recognitions, but this is a hard time to get, again, students here. So I'm sure they'll kick back up once the school year starts. So we'll now move on to reports. And again, I'll ask Mr. Van Hust to give his director's report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pless. So first of all, we'd like to welcome Miss Phoebe Hawley here as the new student liaison. She has joined us, so we're excited about her and certainly excited about her contributions to the board as a whole. And I know that she's going to represent the students throughout the school system, especially the high school, very, very well. So I don't know if there's anything that you want to, you will have a chance to say something in a few minutes, but if you have anything you'd like to share now, feel free to do so.
I'm just really thankful to be here and the students trusting me to speak up for them because that's a big role. So I'm very honored to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's a great answer, and you're exactly right. It is a big honor, so you should be very proud of that. So congratulations. We're glad to have you with us. So I don't know about you, those of you that had a chance to be there last night, but I'm still on cloud nine for an incredible evening. The premiere of Murder 101, the documentary all about one of our sociology classes at Elizabethton High School. It was a great night. We had representatives there from the studio, KT Studios. We had a representative from XQ Super Schools as well. Lots of media. It was just a great night. So if you've not had an opportunity to view the docu-series yet, I would encourage you to do so. It's a 3-part series. I made it through part 2 last night before my eyelids got extremely heavy, so I'm looking forward to watching the 3rd and final episode tonight. But just really impressed with the production, the content, obviously. It's a story about unsolved murders, serial killers in the area, but it's really a story about our students and our community, and really impressed with the first episode and the way it portrays our community, I think, is in a very positive way. We had, I think, 3 city council members there last night as well, very impressed and just very appreciative of the production crew and, again, the positive light that it portrays our community. So it was a great evening. I don't know if any of you all that were there would like to share your thoughts about it as well.
That was great. That was awesome. We got home and Morgan and I wound up actually watching. So I watched the first one again, and then we stayed up a little past midnight and finished the whole thing out.
Oh.
It was neat to see it through her eyes, because she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's my psychology classroom."
Yeah.
Mr. Campbell's room, it was amazing. I mean, it's hard to put into words what a really, really cool really well done, really well done. Like you say, it was very impressive.
I was impressed.
Yeah.
And obviously, I've known Mr. Campbell for a long time, and he's been creative in some things, before. But he really hit on something really special there. But just the student, you mentioned it, Bob, just a little while ago. The interaction, and how they bonded. They were a little quiet,
Yeah.
kind of there at the beginning of the film,
Diverse
but then
group, really diverse.
they
Yes.
were very diverse, and that's probably why they were that successful.
Yeah,
Um,
it's true.
but uh, that's not a simple task. People get 4-year degrees and do things for a long time, sometimes before they have opportunities to be involved in something that big, and they're doing it. 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th graders, and here, and I do appreciate the way that we were portrayed in that.
Yeah.
Sometimes that cannot be necessarily the best, but they did such a wonderful job with that. Just kudos to all of them. Just really proud of our students. Goodness gracious.
That's what I was telling Mark, that the students that were involved at it, they got to shine where maybe they wouldn't have if that opportunity hadn't been available to them. But was a little emotional for me because Will Bowers was there, Harold McCormick kid, Natalie Kodak, Harold McCormick kid. But Loretta passed away, and that's her great nephew. And I feel like the legacy that Loretta had in the Elizabethton school system, he's just a great kid. Just
He is.
and he played a vital part in that. And his dad was so proud. He was out. His aunt and uncle were there, so it was just a great night. A great night.
As you mentioned, just the diversity of that group. I mean, you had athletes. I mean, you had
Yeah.
students from a really nice cross section of the whole school, and to see them interact and, like you said, build those relationships throughout, and just to see how the project brought them together as a group. I mean, it's a special thing. And I will say this: they're highlighting that particular class and that particular project, which is amazing. But I want you to know those type things are going on all over the school.
Oh,
It
yeah.
just so happens that was the one that was, selected to highlight. But we're seeing things like that happen all over the school system.
That's awesome.
So it's a great time to be in the school system. We have people that love and care about students and really put their all into it. And it all starts again with people, as we talk so often. It starts with people. So. But it was a great night.
It really
And I
was.
think as of yesterday, it was already number 6 on the docu-series list on Prime. But I haven't heard on Amazon Prime, but I haven't heard today if it's moved up or not.
Somebody at work had pulled it up, and it's still number 6.
Okay.
I'm sure everybody this morning wanted me to probably shut up about it. But they heard quite a bit, probably more than they wanted to.
Yeah. So, but anyway, thanks again for you all for coming as well. But it was just a great night for our community. So, also wanted to thank the band for their willingness to participate in the 4th of July parade. That's no small task. Obviously, that was during dead period, and I want to thank Mr. Valentine for putting that together. Again, all the students that took time out of their vacation. Again, dead period, that's typically a time when a lot of students are out of town, going on vacations and things like that, because there's so many activities going on in the summer. So really appreciate them being willing to do that. Along the same lines, if you've not seen it, of course, we have a new box truck for the band. It's currently, I think, sitting in the student parking lot, so they're continuing to raise some money to do a wrap around that vehicle, recognizing some sponsors and things like that. And then a week ago, we had our tractor trailer delivered. So it is parked around back of the school between the softball field and the RCAP, the new athletic facility. That will be where that's parked, but there's some additional shelving that's being purchased to put in there, but it's a large black tractor trailer. Obviously not the tractor part, just a trailer, but that's really going to be helpful for them when they're going to different competitions, being able to load all their equipment in there. They're so excited about that, but it's freshly painted. It's shiny black. It really, really looks nice, and they're really excited. And again, we'd be remiss if we didn't again thank Dr. Sams for his $100,000 donation to the band, which really made both of those purchases possible. So again, just want to thank him for that very generous donation. So if you've not seen that, maybe swing by there, Next time you're out that way, just pull around back and you'll see it there.
How are you gonna pull that tractor?
We will rent a tractor, but we have two bus drivers. I think two bus drivers that have their CDLs to pull like tractor trailers, and so I know one of them rented a tractor to go and bring it in. So we'll rent that. That'll be part of what the van rents to haul that around. So. A couple of other things. Obviously, we have TSBA Summer Law Conference. That will be, we'll all head down Thursday evening, and that will be Friday and half the day on Saturday. So looking forward to that opportunity to learn with all of you as well. They'll really do a good job of highlighting a lot of the policies and procedure changes that we'll be discussing tonight as well. A few calendar items. Our initial, it's right around the corner, the start of the school year. So our initial in-service program will be Monday, August 3rd. That will again be at Elizabethton High School. We'll start lunch around 11:30 in the Commons area, and then we'll move down to the gymnasium for our regular program. Our theme this year is Experience Excellence. Obviously, that's our motto, but we're taking that one step further. It's every student, every day. So really a focus. And again, last night was a great example of that. You know, the whole intent is to really focus on the needs of individual students. And that's not just a one-time thing, a check-in, one time a month or one time a week. It's every day. And so if we continue for students to be at the center of everything we do and really focus on ways to support them in what their choices are about their learning, and we provide those opportunities, we're going to continue to see the success that we've seen certainly in recent years. Along those same lines, district testing results are out. There'll be more to come on that in the coming weeks. School level data will be out in a few more weeks. That's still embargoed, so that will be out as well. But very, very proud of many of the areas that we showed real growth and improvement in. As always, there's always areas to work on, and we're already looking at ways to address those areas as well. But as you know, testing in a school system, there's nowhere to hide students. Every sequence, whether it's a special category of students, there's nowhere to hide. So everything we do is analyzed in so many ways, which is fine. We have no problem with that. So it provides us data and helps us identify ways to get better. So we'll have some more information on that for you in the coming weeks. Also want to mention and say a big thank you. You'll notice in the consent agenda that you just approved that Elizabethton Federal, and we have David Lacey here with us from Elizabethton Federal, they have committed a very generous donation to the school system of $20,000 to help us replace the scoreboard at the softball field. So we are very appreciative of that. Since this has been approved, we'll go ahead and start the process of getting that lined up to get that installed, certainly in time for softball season next year. So thanks to David and Elizabethton Federal for their support as well. Last but not least, can't end my report without mentioning and thanking Mr. John Thompson for all of his years of coverage with the Johnson City Press. He told me last night that he is about to retire, and I'm not sure we really like that, but congratulations. We're happy for you, but I would just want to say on behalf of the school system, my interaction with you over the years, you've always been very fair. You have always been thorough. You've asked great questions, but I consider you a friend, and I appreciate you are. Sometimes we're not real sure that journalism is what it used to be, but you are that. You've been a true journalist, and we appreciate that. So thank you very much. So we give him So make sure this article you talk nice about it. More time.
You're extra nice in that.
Yeah.
And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Van Huis. It's now time for board member reports. Anybody have anything that's been going on to report? I know next month may be a little different after we've gone down, let Mark feed us at this law conference. But again, I do look forward to the law conference. It's always, I think, one of the best things they do. So I do look forward to spending time. I think everybody's going to get to go. So we'll try to report on that, and we'll probably hear, like he said, a lot about what's going on with these, policies that we're going to vote on. They'll get into a little deeper dive on those kind of things. City Council liaison. I know I saw Mike Simmerly, Mr. Simmerly, last night. I know he had a prior commitment. No, normally he would be here on a Thursday, but he had already had something on Tuesday
I think it
night
was an
tonight.
animal shelter, I
It
think,
was
scheduled,
Animal
didn't it?
Shelter
Yep,
Board or
yep,
something.
yep.
Yeah. So again, Miss Phoebe, again, welcome from the board. You have big shoes to fill. You'll leave big shoes when your time's up, and we're excited to have you. But I know we've talked a little bit about maybe something you want to share about, but we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so last night I had the opportunity to attend the premiere, which was super exciting because we saw them filming at school and you're like, oh, this is a really big deal. But like when you really see it, it's like, oh, wow, that was like a really big deal. Because I'm friends with some of the people that were a part of it. And when they talked about it, it's like, oh, yeah, we solved this case. And you're like, that's awesome. But then when you really see it put together, it's really eye opening. So that was really cool. And I had the opportunity to hand out programs and greet members, and that was super fun. So, and I got to watch it as well, and it was super cool.
Good deal. Well, thank you, and we look forward to hearing from you on a regular basis. So thank you for coming during the summer as well.
course,
You
yes.
honor us by doing that. All right, we'll move on to the regular agenda. First item on the regular agenda is to approve consideration and action regarding the Director of Schools contract. Can I get a motion to
Motion.
and a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? We don't technically have a motion at this time, but again, it is that time where, again, just kind of clarification. A director can have 1, 2, 3, or 4 years on their contract, and so one thing I really appreciate about Mr. Van Hess, he's never asked for a change. So his is set up where it kind of moves as teacher salaries move. So he's never asked for anything other than what the people we support have done. So, and that's the same here. So he has 2 years left, and I wanted to open it up to see if there was a motion we could act on.
I'd like to make a motion to terminate his existing contract
Mhm.
account.
Yeah, account. Yeah.
And put it in my name. No, just kidding. And
I'm not sure you want that.
with the contract starting August the 1st and ending July 31st, 2030.
Okay, so the 4-year contract
Mhm.
with all details being the same as
Yes.
they are. Okay, so the motion is to basically terminate a contract and basically start with a brand new contract that's exactly the same. The only change would be the number of years remaining on that. So can I get a second?
Second.
Second. Any questions or discussion about that? I will say I certainly appreciate what Mr. Van Huss has done. I wish we could, Phil may change the motion here in a second to say that he's required to stay that 4 years, and he can't go anywhere. So, but again,
Can we add that in?
yeah, we could. But again, I appreciate your leadership. I appreciate your obviously your friendship, but your concern and your love for our community and for our school system is second to none. And so, again, I really do appreciate that, and I think 4 is very deserving at this point. So thank you for your previous service, and we certainly want to wish you well these next years if the vote goes the way I hope it does. So, all right. Anybody else? All right. So the motion again is to um, end the contract the end of the day on July 31st and have a new contract begin excuse me,
Start August 1st.
to start August 1st. And it would run through July 31st of the year 3030. So essentially 2030. Did I say 3030?
3030. We won't be
We'll
here.
be here a
3030.
while. Yeah, I may not be here in 2030.
I think
so,
we're safe to
That's
say.
probably not legal.
yeah, it may not be legal. So,
Phoebe
so
might still be here.
it would have been really a lot easier just to say a 4-year contract. So I'll say that. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And there are none. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is to approve 2026-2027 SRO grant agreement and MOU with the City of Elizabethton and the Elizabethton Police Department. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion and a second?
Second.
Second.
Normally, this is just on the consent agenda, but there was a change that I thought was important that I wanted to point out to you. So in consultation with the city manager and the chief of police, they have requested an SRO be added at the alternative school. So that would put 6 in the school system. I think the intention would be the supervisor of the SROs would be the SRO at the alternative school. So that would give us 6 officers focused on that. Again, the city police department applies for the state grant to cover the cost for those SROs. And if you remember a few years ago, that's something the General Assembly did, and we're very appreciative of that. And certainly hope that that continues for years to come because they really make a difference. We have wonderful SROs. They care about what they do. They're invested. They get invested in the schools when they're there. I just wanted to point that out, and I appreciate the city manager and Chief Shaw being willing to see the importance of that and apply for that extra position. So I just wanted to point that out. That's part of the grant application. City Council approved this agreement at their meeting last Thursday, so I'd respectfully ask your consideration to approve this one as well.
Okay. I know since that moved, they were kind of covered when they were in the high school. Now that being in a different building,
That's
makes
right.
a little more sense.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
okay. All right. Anything? The item is to approve the 2026-2027 SRO grant agreement and MOU with the City of Elizabethton and the Elizabethton Police Department. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And there are none. Next item, approve Baseline Sports to complete resurfacing of the tennis courts at Elizabethton High School for $40,162.50 using Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Pricing. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, and a second.
Second.
Okay.
So real quickly on this one, if you've been on the tennis courts, they're the point that we're going to lose. It's really a safety issue at this point. Those were refinished. I think it was about 8 or 9 years ago, and over time it wears off the tackiness, the sand that provides grip for players there. As you know, those courts are used not only by our high school and junior high teams, but the community as well. That may be, arguably, it may be the most used facility that we have by the public. There's people down there playing on those courts all the time. There are some cracks that have developed in there. That part of this will be to address those. And you know how that is. Once that gets started, the freeze and thaw cycles that we have, if we don't address that fairly quickly, it will just continue to get worse and get to the point where we'll have to completely remove those. I think those were built, we were talking about that, late 90s, I think, when those courts were installed. So really for that period of time, almost 30 years, they're in really good shape. So we were hoping that we could push this off a bit, but I know that Mr. Diaz actually went out with some other people and actually tried to lightly pressure wash those and clean those, but he said it was pretty obvious once he started that it was just, again, removing the tackiness there as well and just making it more of a safety issue than it was before. So appreciate your consideration on this one. We would use some half-cent sales tax funds to pay for this. Again, it's one of these things, if we don't do it now, it's going to be much worse if we don't address it now. So any questions on that? It's great to have great facilities, and we do, but this is part of it. You know, it's just if we don't keep up the maintenance on it, we're going to lose what we have. So
Can we play pickleball?
well, it's
Make it
really
make some
interesting. You know,
lines.
we looked at some grants possibly to help redo those courts, and funny, but all the tennis grants specifically say you can't mark them for pickleball. So
Are you
there's a
serious?
tennis and pickleball
Oh, they're-
competition. So it's kind of interesting. But you go down there, you're welcome to play pickleball. I don't care at all. So.
Do you have any idea when the work would happen, or are we too soon for that?
We're looking at. I spoke with the gentleman that gave us the quote. So this is the same company that installed the runway for the pole vault pit, as well as turfed the softball field, the baseball field at Northeast Community Credit Union Park, as well as the turf inside the RCAP. So he told me that probably sometime here around September would be the ideal time to do it. He said pushing it any later, you get into the late fall where you're going to have potentially a lot of weather, changes in temperature. He said it adheres much better when it's warmer. So we're probably looking at a September time frame.
Is the middle school season in the spring, or is I know the high school is?
I think it's actually in the fall. So based on that, they may have to. It's a much more condensed season, and so depending on when that occurs, we'll look at their schedule and see if there's a way to work around that. Again, because it's not as long. Hopefully, there's a way we can work it into where they can still host some meets there before the work starts. So we'll take that into account once we find the exact time, but we haven't set a for sure start time yet. So,
Any other questions? All right. The items to approve: baseline sports, complete resurfacing of the tennis courts at the Elizabethton High School for $40,162.50 using Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Pricing. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And any opposed? And there are none. And if you'll bear with me, this next item, we've been asked and had a chance to look at these. I know there's some of these Mr. Van Hust will elaborate on, but I will read this list in entirety, and we will vote on it that way. But I will turn it over to Mr. Van Hust to highlight anything, and if there are questions, we can ask them about the specific one. But instead of going one at a time, I will read them into the record all together. The items to approve the following board policies: Policy 1.400, School Board Meetings; 1.403, Agendas; 1.404, Appeals to and Public Comments before the Board; 1.407, School District Records; 1.905, Charter School Renewal; 2.100, Fiscal Management Goals; 2.200, Annual Operating Budget; 4.100, Instructional Programs; 4.213, Family Life Education; 4.215, Instructional Use of Digital Devices; 4.300, Extracurricular Activities; 4.301, Interscholastic Athletics; 4.600, Grading System; 4.603, Promotion and Retention; 4.605, Graduation Requirements; 5.104, Equal Opportunity Employment; 5.106, Application and Employment; 5.110, Compensation Guides and Contracts; 5.200, Separation Practices for Tenured Teachers; 5.201, Separation Practices for Non-Tenured Teachers; 5.302, Sick Leave; 5.303, Personal and Professional Leave; 5.501, Complaints and Grievances; 5.600, Staff Rights and Responsibilities; 5.801, Director of Schools Recruitment and Selection; 5.3031, bereavement leave. 6.100, student goals. 6.200, attendance. 6.202, homeschools. 6.205, student assignments. 6.301, rights and responsibilities of students. 6.303, questioning students and searches. 6.304, student discrimination, harassment, bullying, cyberbullying, and intimidation. 6.306, interference, disruption of school activities. 6.318, admission of suspended or expelled students. 6.412, emergency allergy response plan. 6.506, students from military families. 6.3041, Title IX, and sexual harassment. And policy 6.4053, outside applied behavior analysis therapy. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
All right. And a second.
Second.
All right. Now,
Great job. Great job.
I did it once.
So
All right.
I think my count may be off, but there's just slightly under 40 policies here. And again, these are all as a result of legislative action in the past General Assembly session. So I've sent you prior to a synopsis of each one of these, as well as a copy of the proposed policy changes. So I would certainly entertain if there are specific ones that you have questions about. We can talk about those. In the past, I've actually tried to do that synopsis during the meeting, and after thinking about that, it just really didn't make sense to do that. It probably makes more sense for me to allow you, if there are ones, again, specifically that you have questions about, I can answer those for you. But again, all these are a direct result of changes based on legislation that occurred the last session. And so again, we get a report. What I sent out is basically the report from TSBA, and then they send their model policy with suggestions on there. And then myself and Dr. Newman, we typically take those, our current policy and their proposed, and we blend those together to see what you have before you in the on the agenda. So are there specifics that you have questions about?
I mean, I wanted to make sure on
Yes.
the public comments
Yes.
session that it basically opened it up. Okay, I would appreciate just a real quick snapshot on that.
Absolutely.
If you don't care.
So a few months ago, once we knew this was in place, TSBA encouraged us to go ahead and adjust the policy based on the new legislation. And basically what it says is it requires all public entities to have a public comment section, which we have always done. It still allows us to have reasonable rules in place. For instance, if someone requests to speak before the board, they have to notify us at least 3 days prior to the meeting. We can still have those type restrictions, so they're still in the policy. One thing, when that policy was approved, I think it was in April. I'd have to go back and check for sure. But again, late spring. One thing that we omitted was the phrase for meetings that there are actionable items on the agenda. So, for instance, if we had a workshop, since there are no actionable items on that because it's just a workshop, without that phrase in there, we would have to provide a public comment during that time, which is, something like that is just not appropriate for a public comment. There's a situation where you have a disciplinary issue that you're considering on an employee, those are excluded as well. So we felt like we needed to go back and add that phrase in there to restrict it, as the statute says, just to meetings where there are actionable items on the agenda. Is that?
Yes, I just want to because I knew that we had missed that, early on. So
And we have some things in there that really outline that procedure that aren't necessarily in the TSBA version. And working with Miss Owen, she helped us craft that. So during that process, we just omitted that language. That was an error on our part. So this is a correction of that one on that part. And certainly welcome public comments. The intention is to not not stifle that, and we're certainly going to meet that requirement. So we welcome public comments.
You mentioned Miss Owens. That's our attorney, right?
Correct,
Who's,
yes.
Who's reviewed all these policies.
Yes.
I had a question just for perspective. Is this the normal load of policy updates we get, or has the legislature just been extremely busy this past?
They've been extremely busy. Now, typically, I would say it's been in the 20s at least, but they've been very active. Yes,
specifically around public education.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and lots of language about defining certain things and restricting things in regards to China and things like that. So there's lots of things like that may affect multiple policies.
Okay.
So a lot of those things have shown up, which has kind of ballooned the number. Typically, again, this particular meeting, which normally occurs in July, there is a large number, but this one is larger than normal.
And boards are compelled to approve policy to reflect the legislative action. They can't say no to it, right?
That's correct. So that's the great part about TSBA. They analyze the law and then put forth language that meets that requirement. So between that combination and then the input from Ms. Owen, you get the recommendations that we as an administration present to you based on that. But TSBA is fantastic on that. We really rely on their team and their language. And so what you're going to hear this weekend is going to focus on a lot of these things that, quite frankly, you've already addressed. Now, obviously, once we come out of that meeting, there may be questions that you have that they may bring up that they hadn't even thought of when they put this list forward to begin with. So if that's the case, we can always pull these back up and make modifications if we need to. We can even do that on the second reading. And so what I would suggest is if there's any that we feel like we need to consider and modify on the second reading, we would pull them off this list and put them back on the regular agenda for August, and we would discuss those changes, and then either you would vote up or down on those particular ones.
And Miss Owens is going to be here soon with
Yes,
us
she
to
is.
implement, explain any of the.
That's correct, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I left that off my list, so she will be here on June 23rd. July. I wish it was June. July 23rd. So that's next Thursday, a week from Thursday, and we will meet at the CDEC. She'll be here that morning about 8 o'clock, and she'll meet with administrators, and we have a pretty lengthy agenda of topics that administrators have asked for clarification on. So we appreciate her being there, and you all are welcome to be there. Stay as long as you would like. Pop in and say hello. She always likes to see you. So if you have a chance to do that, I would encourage you to do that. They've been our board attorney for their firm's been our attorneys for many, many years. They're extremely, as a matter of fact, I just emailed her right before the meeting, setting up another discussion to answer some questions. So she's extremely responsive to us and very, very knowledgeable. We're very, very fortunate to have them as represent us.
So that's 8 a.m.
8 a.m. Yes, she'll be here until 11:30, 12 o'clock. So again, come as long as you want. Pop in and say hello, even if you have to go on. But she'll appreciate seeing you. Thank you for reminding me of that.
And again, just a short list of kind of what we're responsible for. I mean, again, it's the most effective way to affect change from a board. I mean, we really appreciate the guidance of TSBA, but there will be a time where there will be a board member will have a better thought or a different thought, and then we can take that and take charge of that. That's kind of how some of these things get started. A board somewhere in the state will have a thought, and then it'll take off and run, and that's how we ended up, doing certain things.
And that's a great point. We do put a lot of thought in that. We don't just take the TSBA recommended policy and just replace it. We look at every paragraph of the current policy we have, the new one, and there's lots of things that we feel like provide a little more detail that we would like to recommend keeping in our policy. So as long as it doesn't violate the law, then we can leave those in there. And there are times that we'll present something to them and they'll say, well, you may want to take a look at that again. Our opinion is that may be in violation. For instance, the ones we just talked about the agenda and about the public comment section. When we submitted that one to them to update on our policy manual, they emailed back and said, hey, this little phrase is not in there. You may want to think about adding that back. That's why that was added back. So there's a check. So we send it to them. They're not just taking them and sticking them on a website. They're analyzing those. So that's part of the fee that TSBA charges are for those services. So it's extremely, extremely valuable.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, we'll shorten this. The item is to approve the policies that were read before the motion. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And there are none. So again, look forward to seeing everyone probably Thursday evening there in Gatlinburg, and I'm sure it will be a great day there with TSBA doing the Law Institute. The next regularly scheduled meeting is August the 20th. We'll be 2 weeks into school at that time at 5:30 here in the board. And back to school bash again is...
That's the 28th. Yes, see there, I left that off too. It's the Tuesday, the 28th.
Okay.
At Elizabethton High School. It starts at 6 o'clock. So
Okay.
please come and hand out school supplies.
What time?
Starts at 6. So I would encourage you, if you can, maybe be there about 5:30.
Okay.
The flow will be very similar to last year. So we'll set up in D Hall and let you hand out school supplies as the families come through.
And the August 3rd event, that's board members welcome for the.
Absolutely.
for the-
Please come
Okay.
and enjoy lunch with everyone.
All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All right. Everyone, thank you for being here. Have a good evening.